To do this, we're going to look at some scenarios. So the first one we're going to ask a question about is, what if you decided not to go to Starbucks one time a week? Let's say, for example, you go to a Starbucks every day during the week to school. You go before you go to school, but you're going to take one day and you're going to be disciplined and not go to Starbucks, and you're going to take that money, put it together. So 4 weeks in a month. Let's say you buy just one coffee, $5, 4 times 5, $20. So we're going to take $20 a month and we're going to put it in an investment and see how much money that's going to be worth. And we're going to see if you started now, because most of you are between 16 and 18, maybe a couple of you might be a little older than that. But if you invested that for 7 years, how much money could you make? 20 years and 40 years. Okay. And later we will talk about what happens if you start later. Okay, but we're going to be adventurous and we're going to start now. We're going to pretend. Here is our investing calculator that you can use. This is just calculator.net. I just Googled investment calculator. And this is actually a pretty decent one because it allows you to do stuff. And then it shows you a graph. It tells you how much you put in, and it gives you the full spreadsheet, which you can actually, you can use and export to other things. Okay, so let's do our basic Starbucks. So we're going to take, and we're going to go for 7 years. We're going to go at 6%. Okay, so that's actually a pretty light interest rate, but we're going to stick with it because many mutual funds will actually deliver you 12 to 18%. Okay, depending on what's going on, but we're going to stick at 6%. It's a pretty safe, on average return. Okay. And we're going to do $20 a month for 7 years. And so we're going to calculate. And what this says is for 7 years, that's $1,680 that I would have been buying Starbucks with. And then I'll put it in an investment, and I'm going to make $389 for a total of $2,000. Well, not bad. Okay. If it was a 12% interest, you will notice that I doubled the interest rate. I pretty much doubled my return on investment. Okay, so higher interest rate, always a good thing. All right, but we're going to stick at 6%. Okay, let's turn our coffee to a 20-year thing. Let's stick with it. I started it maybe 5 years from now. I don't really need the coffee anymore, but let's keep doing it because it's a habit. Now I've put in $4,800. That's how much I put in. And when I finish at the end of 20 years, the account is worth almost double that, $9,000. I have made $4,000 just by putting money in an investment. Wow. Okay. 40 years. Wow. Impossibly long time, probably seeming to you. It'll be here before you know it, but I put in $9,600. And at the end of 40 years, I have $38,000. And all I'm giving up is 1 cup of Starbucks a week. And that's equal to $38,000. So your $5 cup of coffee a week is worth $38,000. What could you buy with that money? Okay. That's really the opportunity cost that you need to be thinking about as we go forward with the investing is, what can I do now? Dave Ramsey says, what can I do to live like no one else so that later on I can live like no one else? Okay. I'm going to sacrifice 1 cup of Starbucks a week, every week, so that in 20 years, 40 years, I can go on a really nice vacation. I can buy a house. I can do all kinds of things with that money. Okay. So, and we're just talking $20 a month. Okay. So let's expand that and let's look at, I'm going to put in $2,000. So you're going to I'm getting ready to graduate. I'm going to get some graduation money from grandma and aunt and uncle and everybody else. And we'll pretend that we're all going to get that. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to put it in a mutual fund and it's going to get 6% interest. I put in $2,000 and in 7 years, I'll have made $1,000. Didn't have to do anything with it. Wow. Okay. What if I left it for the total? I'm not putting anything else. I put in the 2,000 and I just leave it. I put in 2,000 and now I have $6,000. Okay, let's say 40 years. Now I have $20,000. So $2,000 now becomes $20,000 later. That's pretty significant. So let's play this game a little differently. What if I had waited? So I actually used that $2,000 or something like that. So I'm going to use that to buy my books and all that kind of stuff. And I'm now, so instead of doing it now when I'm 16, I'm going to do it when I'm 25. And I'm going to see how long it takes me to get here. So let's try this. I'm going to try 20 years. I'm going to shoot for how much do I have to put in for 20 years to get my 20,571. So let's go to 20 years. This is why I like the calculator, so you can kind of take a look at this. If I put in $40 a month for 20 years, wow, okay, put in, let's go 44. Getting closer, let's go 46. Okay, so that's pretty close to what we had. So if I wait till later, I don't put in, like, as soon as I get that 2,000, I don't put it in to get this same amount, this 20,000. Okay, I will have to put in $11,000 to make $20,000 for 20. So I'm only investing for 20 years, but it's going to take me a lot more money to equal how much I would have gotten if I just started right away and put in my 2,000. Okay, this is going to be huge. The bigger the amount you can put in, the sooner you can put it in, the more it grows. Now, what's the problem with that? Most of us are starting a beginning job. We got all kinds of bills. We don't have a lot we can invest. Okay, so I get it. Take it with a grain of salt. But know that time is going to be the most important factor when we consider our investing. Okay, so let's look at the Roth IRA. You are allowed to invest $6,000 a year. That's the cap. Okay, so let's go $6,000 per year. And so after 7 years, I've put in $42,000, and that will have grown to $50,000. Not bad. I'll have made $8,000. Okay, and that's tax deferred. I don't have to pay taxes on that growth. Okay, so let's let it grow for 20 years. Now I'm going to pay in. This is 20 years of $6,000 every year, so that's $500 a month. I pay $120,000, but I basically have doubled my money. Now I'm going to have $220,000 after 20 years. So if you started right now, you'd be about 36, 38, if you could afford $6,000 a year. 40 years. If I put in $6,000 a year for 40 years, for a total of $240,000, by the end of that, I would have $928,000. I will have made 3 times what I put in, almost. Okay, so it's all about the time that we put in, and all of this would be, I would not have to pay taxes on. Okay, if I had to pay taxes on that, I'd probably be paying 40 or 50% of that, which is about half in taxes. Okay, so we definitely want this Roth IRA. We want to protect that money from having to pay it to the government. Okay, now what if I waited? If I waited and had to do it later and start doing the 6,000, okay, to get this same amount in just 20 years, I would have to put in 25,000 a year. Okay, so that's for a total of $500,000 investment to make that much. Okay, all right. Now, 401k employer match. So you're going to put in $125 a month. That's how much you're going to pay. And your employer is going to match you $125. So this extra $125 is money you would not see otherwise. You're going to invest $250 total a month. So basically, we're going to put in $21,000 total. In other words, you put in 10,500, your employer puts in half. At the end of 7 years, you've gained about $4,000. Not too bad. If we could do that for 20 years, 60,000. So you put in 30,000 and your employer matches for 30,000. So you put in 30,000 and you've made 4 times the amount of money. Okay. You wait for 40 years and you pay 60,000 and it grows to $476,000. You've made almost 8 times your money. Okay. For that amount because your employer is putting that much in.